What's going on, Heroclix fam? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be doing an X-Men 97 set review. I got to see a lot of these figures out on the table, and I've got to play some games with them and see them in action. And I thought it was time for a review. So this one is going to be a little bit different. I'm just trying to talk a little bit about the figure, what I think they're good for, trying to give a little more consistency as to previous reviews. I had done them a little bit differently than everybody else on purpose. I'd kind of done this themed review, which I really liked and I enjoyed. A themed review, kind of saying like if I like a figure or if I don't. I am still going to be trying this new feature I thought of. It's kind of like a golden star for a set. This one I'll be calling it an X Factor. And that just necessarily means a figure that I really liked or I think is cool from the set. So Magneto number 1, I don't think he's bad. Not the best figure, but okay maybe in pulp. If you're looking for that theme like Brotherhood or X-Men, leadership, barrier, sidestep, he's flying. All those things are pretty good. I used him, somewhat effectively in Sealed. And then we have Jean Grey as number 2. This is the one that generates the Cyclops. She's got prob, she's got TK, mind control, she's flying. I don't think she's bad for maybe pulp, or sealed really. Getting that probability control in either of those formats. And some people might like the Cyclops better. He does have that sidestep, precision strike, and range combat expert for 4 damage can do some damage for a bystander. So she's pretty decent. Her alternate card is actually, pretty good. Friendly characters with the X-Men keyword have safeguard mind control. She also gets to do a mind control. It's free if she has 2 action tokens. So I think she's actually pretty decent. Could actually run a pretty interestingly effective X-Men team if you had all their alternate cards. Or maybe you're kind of just fitting them in your team with that alternate card. But anyway, moving on. Number 3 is Cyclops. I actually really liked this Cyclops in Sealed. He might be, I wouldn't say he's like amazing in pulp or anything, but he's still pretty cool. I like that see you on the ground. Some people might not like that he gives your X-Men those action tokens how I was really using it is I was kind of trying to make people making them think I was going one way, then I'd kind of swing around, making them break up their formation and they'd have to come to me. And it worked in some cases. Really how I best utilized it was having a lot of leadership. Cyclops will be able to take off a token right after you use that. Have some other people, X-Men with leadership, you take all those tokens right on after you use that trait. And again, he's a leader, running shot. You use him as that. You're not charging him straight in there. But I thought he was pretty decent. But realistically, most of these figures, all their alternate cards are most likely going to be better. He's got penetrating psychic, blast. When they attack robots, sentinels, or colossal characters, those characters can't use stop. That's pretty dang big. And he's also a keyword cheater. He turns those, establish theme teams. You may choose a friendly character to gain the X-Men keyword. This game, that character can use the X-Men team ability. That's actually really cool. There might be some interesting synergies in there. There's people who make the X-Men keyword or team ability better. So this is actually a really good alternate card. I think that one's actually the first on my list as far as getting the X Factor. I think that's a really good card for 50 points. So moving on is number 4 is Leech. I think we could play him in just about any format for a 15-point character. He's got Outwit. Characters within 4 squares can't use team abilities. That does include your own characters as well. But for 15 points, that's not bad. And there also are some synergies when a X-Men is in your KO area. you get bonuses like this. The super rare Magneto. You get a bonus for him being in the KO. So not a bad figure. I think he's playable in any format. I'd give him the X Factor just for fun. I think he's kind of cool. I think the Morlock thing was kind of cool too as well. And I mean, playable in any format, I would say that's pretty cool. Or people will play him in just about any format. Gambit is number 5. I didn't really like this figure. To me, I didn't find him really good. I didn't really care for him, unfortunately. I don't even know that I could really see him using in any of the formats. Maybe in sealed if you had to, but not something I would choose. Next up is 6. This is the first Jubilee. She's 40 points. She does have energy explosion. She deals penetrating damage to opposing characters with the robot keyword. Maybe in sealed, but other than that, not the best of figures to me. The other ones I think are a little bit better. We're looking at the alternate card for that Jubilee. Pretty decent for 40 points. She's getting that penetrating psychic blast, which I would say is kind of needed for her, but hit characters have a range of 0. That's pretty decent. She has synergies with the extra life tokens. So you get an extra life token, then when Jubilee would be KO'd, you may remove an extra life token from your sideline. If you do, instead turn her to click 2. That's pretty good. Then looking at, let's see. And then the other Jubilee here in the set, she's only 25 points. I think, she's decent. Let's see, stealth, opposing characters within range can't use improved targeting through hindering. She's got 6 clicks of health for 25 points. That's decent. She has smoke cloud, sidestep, willpower, shape change. For 25 points, sure. Maybe in pulp or sealed. Moving on to number 7, Beast. I didn't care for this Beast. He could be useful in sealed, trying to use that outwit or support. That's definitely something you'd want to be taking advantage of with him. And those, Colossals and robots and sentinels can't positively modify their combat values when Beast attacks. Yeah. Targeted characters with those keywords can't be, their combat values can't be modified. Not my really first choice, maybe in pulp if you were trying to fill 30 points, but there might be better stuff for that. His alternate card, of course, all the alternate cards are better. The one in particular I'm looking at is that look for the helpers, friendly characters with the X-Men team ability. When they use it, if they have the X-Men team ability printed on their base, instead roll a d6, and the result is a 6. So you just heal 6 right off the bat, which is pretty nifty for a 30-point character. He's got outwit and perplex. And he can also use a mind control as free when he hits characters with the robot sentinel with a close attack. Just kind of nifty. Alternate card definitely deserves the X Factor. Moving on to Prime Sentinel. Pretty helpful in most games or formats. You could be switching from this goon to that goon, and it gives that character an action token when you want to hit if you roll a 1 through 3. Moving on, we are at number 9. That is the Sentinel Technician. I didn't really care for this one. This is another expendable goon. Maybe in pulp. I didn't really run him in sealed even when I drafted him. Not my first pick. Number 10. The Friends of Humanity, actually, I think are a pretty decent goon. Giving you that empower. Using empower and enhanced and sealed can make a difference if you know how to use it. And then she also does the deal that the character who KO'd them 1 damage If that character has the X-Men team ability, the damage dealt is unavoidable. So that's pretty good and sealed. That was number 10. We're moving on to number 11. Let's see. We have two Wolverines here. I think he's got decent health or Clix, and his reducer, and he has a reducer, and mastermind fodder. I would use him if you're trying to keep some of your other X-Men alive or another piece. Maybe in pulp or sealed. I don't think he's too bad. Moving on to 11B, the kind of chase Wolverine. This one, I'll go ahead and give this one an X factor. I mean, for 60 points, he's got 9 clicks of health, a really nice long dial for 60 points. He's got impervious. He has battle fury, 12 attack, charge, but don't have speed. If a friendly character is named Gambit, and he has carry 1, so he kind of does that move from the show where he's carrying Gambit on his back, and they're doing a team up together. So that definitely deserves an X factor right there. Again, a really cool piece. I think the best Gambit we'd already kind of seen is to use with him is the Gambit from the Hellfire Gala, the second one. Or is it technically the third one? That has the Gambit in it. That one would definitely be good to use with him. And his attack, kinetically charged claws, blades, claws, fangs. When Wolverine uses it, after resolution, deal damage equal to half the result to all opposing characters other than the target within 3 squares. Then knock back all opposing characters within 3 squares. So pretty cool little X-Men. I could see how some people definitely want him. Really cool looking sculpt and everything too. Moving on to number 12. Yeah, I think she's decent and sealed. In pulp, she's usable if you're trying to go for, her in a theme. Definitely want to use her wisely. She just has that toughness. But she's going to get to take, so she says, give an adjacent friendly character up to 2 action tokens for each action token given. Choose a standard power that character can use. Rogue can use the chosen powers until she chooses again. So you can take 2 powers from anybody. You could take shape change, another reducer or something. So she's decent for sealed and maybe even pulp. And then moving on to her alternate card here. Let's see. She loses that ability. I think that ability is really cool, but she's a unique modifier. Friendly characters that share a keyword with Rogue, modified defense +1 for each character you KO'd or in your KO area that shares a keyword with Rogue. I mean, that's still pretty good. You could get a lot of modifiers like that. And then the second trait here, leading our kind to a new age. Leadership. When Rogue hits action token or action total +1 this turn. No, I think that's good. When Rogue hits action total +1 this turn, that's pretty cool actually. Moving on is 13. And that is the basketball Gambit. I thought he was decent in drafting. I'm not really too sure yet about pulp. You do start off with the damage ability. When a friendly character uses X-Men team ability after resolutions, remove an action token from that character, and that character they choose for X-Men team ability. But it's really his attack that's the good one. Half court shot. Precision strike, free, once per game, make a range attack with an 8 range and target through all characters, or improve targeting characters. Increase the damage dealt by 1 to each hit. Pretty nice little thing if you can pull it off, but he does have to take some damage. But he's not bad for 55 points. His alternate card, I'm not too big on it. I like the idea of scoring those 25 points. You could make a team to try to utilize it, I guess, but not necessarily something I'd be going for. Dr. Valerie Cooper, I think she's actually a decent piece. I played her in Sealed. You're generating those operatives. You could play her in Pulp. She won't be too bad for like a Sentinel team. Again, she's a leader. So not bad. 15 here. And that is going to be the other 100-point Magneto. Oh, man, just if they take it out a 100-point figure like him pretty quick, that's you know, you have to protect something like this. Not necessarily something I would go out of my way to use. He does get a barrier is free, but only if Magneto placed a character this game. I like the free barrier, and then he can blow up, but also he has 4 damage. But if he goes down 100 points, that could be very detrimental for you in something like Pulp. Let's see, moving it on here. Madeline Pryor. I like this one because you're gonna get perplex and probability control in a way because you're getting that cable bystander, and she has perplex as well. You can kind of use her to move pieces around with sidestep flying, so I don't think she's too bad. And this is Wolverine at number 17. He's a little basic. There's others I'd probably use before him for what he's doing, but that's just me. Then we're moving on to 18. There's 3 different 18s, A, B, C, and those are the Dino Men. Let's see if I have them in order here. So I like A and B to get that Empower and Enhance, but the 3 are decent. They're all soldiers. I like that. I think that's kind of cool. You know, they could be usable in some of those teams, like their keywords. So we got the Enhance one. We got the Empower one. And then this blue one that has shape change. So I like I guess it's red and the orange one. I think it's really cool. They're soldiers. You could definitely make some interesting Pulp soldier teams. That's something I might actually try. I might throw one of them in there. Of course, they're goons, so they do different things. One of them does stuff with... Oh, they both do stuff with Animal and Mojoverse. So pretty decent. I think one of them has a alternate card, but I don't see it here on HC units. Let's see, number 19 is Morph. I really liked this figure in Sealed. I think he's super cool. There could have been so many different things they picked for it, but he's got a nice dial. He turns into some really cool stuff for 50 points. I'd play him in Sealed or Pulp. And he's got the enemy, or the team player, something you don't want to forget. And his alternate card is, honestly, I'm going to give an X Factor to the alternate card. I think it's really cool. You have the synergies with Wolverines, Logans, and X-Men. And he also gets to take characters from take powers from friendly characters. I think that's really cool. This is a really cool alternate card and figure. I would even try that Morphin Silver or something, because we just got what Deadpool and Weapon X, and we had all those Wolverines. Like, heck yeah, it'd work out nicely. I could even see trying them in Modern. Move into 20. That Storm. I used her in Sealed, having that penetrating psychic blast with hypersonic and don't half the range and everything. Kind of came in handy, but that's really all I might use her in. I don't know that I'd use her in Pulp. The Storm alternate card's actually pretty cool. When a friendly character with the X-Men keyword hits after resolution, Storm may knock back the hit character. If a friendly character is named Jean Grey, opposing characters can't reduce knockback damage. That's actually pretty good. And then she can carry 2 X-Men. So pretty decent, but I don't think she's the best alternate card. Prime Sentinel is number 21. I mean, depends on what you're really going for here. This is actually a new recruit. You know, I don't really care for this one. I don't even know if I was running a Sentinel team if I would run it. Then we got 22A. I don't really care for Bolivar Trask. Is it Bolivar Trask? Yes. I do like the other one though. This the Sentinel kind of version. Not bad for 50 points. You could be making a Sentinel Pulp team or using him in Sealed, trying to utilize that Enhance. I do like that. He's got a reducer, pretty decent one. He's got a long dial for 50 points, 7 clicks of health. And then number 23, that is going to be the other Friends of Humanity. I actually used them a lot in Sealed. I could see running them in Pulp 2, just trying to utilize that Enhance and get all your Sentinels that Enhance. And also, hit characters can't use attack powers until their next turn. That's pretty cool, actually. And you also got the Underworld team ability, so she can help kind of move people around. So I do like them for Pulp and Sealed. 24 is Nightcrawler. I think he's pretty decent for 55 points. I like he has that hypersonic and 19 defense. He can move through walls, and he has that hypersonic. So if you're in indoor terrain, you could just be like hitting somebody, then hypersonicking behind walls because he can move through walls. Also, what I found myself doing is because he can move 10 in attack, so I would kind of lure people in and then just kind of out of nowhere come in with him and smack them, and that worked pretty decent. He's also got stealth, so not too bad for 55 points. And his alternate card's all right too. I don't think it's my favorite, but it's decent, I suppose. They're all pretty decent, like I was saying. So moving on to 25. That is Bastion. I don't actually care for this Bastion. I just don't like his kit, really. But he definitely could be used in like a Pulp Sentinel team. But, you know, you want to use him wisely. 60 points.
The actual number 26 here is Sunspot, which switches between dials, can carry 2, and has a perplex with a minimum range of 8 for 40 points. Actually kind of decent for pulp or sealed.
To 26. That's Callisto. I think this Callisto is actually really cool. I'm going to go ahead and give her the X Factor here. I think it's been a little while since we've seen her in Clix. I mean, 45 points. She's an outwitter. She's a decent little attacker with charge, blades, claws, fangs. She generates those Morlocks, and then she also gives all Morlocks modifiers. I mean, which is actually pretty cool. Friendly characters that have the Morlocks keyword modify the chosen combat value +1. That's at the beginning of your combat. So I do like that. For 45 points, that seems pretty awesome. There's the Morlock. You could be giving them a modified combat value, which is kind of nice. Next up is 28. That's the Phoenix. I'm going to go ahead and give this one an X Factor. I think it's just pretty good because it's a sideline piece. So you could be using it in pulp, sealed, or modern, you know, just as a sideline piece. You could generate her. And this is when a friendly character named Jean Grey, Marvel, Girl, Madeline Pryor, or Phoenix is KO'd. You could either generate her with a 5 through 6 or 1 through 4. Heal a friendly character with the X-Men keyword, 1 click. So why not having her on the sideline? Then once per game, when Phoenix hits after resolutions, you may give a hit character a burned away token. If you do this game, that character can't use the effective equipment or positively modify their combat values, that's a pretty nice deal right there. And all this for 60 points with prob, invincible, 12 attack, not too bad. Moving on to 29. This forge is actually kind of cool. I wouldn't mind running him in pulp or sealed. He negates that your opponent's probability control, but you have to give him that bystander. Then he gives himself mystics. I really used him in sealed for that outwit. And, you know, I did pretty decent with him, so I do like him. And moving on to 30, and that is Captain America. I like him. He's a soldier. That's pretty, I think you can make, like I said, a pretty cool pulp soldier team. Being able to get the +2 defense when a soldier's KO'd, I think that's really cool. And even that +1 kind of helped out in sealed. Really trying to utilize that leadership and enhanced, I think, is big for him. And he can attack 3 people with, you know, his triple targeting and deal them all 1 damage, which is kind of nice. But it's really a figure you have to know how to use, in my opinion. Does have energy shield deflection and leadership. So I do like him. He's pretty decent. Bishop. We do have a few for Bishop here. So the regular Bishop, I mean, he's got probability control, and he turns into the Prime. You know, I don't know that I would necessarily run him. It's kind of hard to run him when you definitely have the Prime and the alternate. So the alternate, when another friendly character with X-Men keyword is KO'd by an opposing effect after resolutions, you may place Bishop anywhere on the map, and he has immune, so that's pretty good. I think this is the alternate. Yeah, and he's actually he's just okay. But the Prime is actually pretty dang good. I'd say he's good. He might be on the lower tier of the Primes, in my opinion. The other ones are pretty rowdy, but pretty decent. Executioner, I think he's kind of cool. I think of course, you want to get him to that attack power. Absorb this when Executioner hits a single character with a range attack. That character can't use powers until your next turn. Overall, he's actually pretty decent. I like he's a soldier. He has the underworld team ability. I might try him in like a soldier pulp team like I was talking about. As well as this next one here. 33 is Wolverine. And he's a soldier. I was using him in sealed, maybe in pulp. But in sealed, he was like, if your opponent had any brotherhood or robots or sentinels, man, he could be I was making like 12 attacks in one game with him, which is pretty rowdy. But really just trying to utilize, what he has going for him. His alternate card's okay. Again, not necessarily my favorite. But, I mean, it could be kind of to force, his trait could be kind of to force people's positioning. So he's not, not bad, like I was saying. 34, that is Magneto. I liked drafting this one. Would I necessarily play him in anything like Modern? I don't think so, but he is, like I said, I did like playing him in Sealed. Moving on to 35. That's Professor X. I think this is one that I imagine some people actually like. We haven't seen this Professor X in the chair in a while, and we haven't gotten a decent one. This one's pretty decent, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the X Factor. I like that he's got 19 defend. He's got outwit. He's got mind control. He can see through just about everything. And his second trait is really cool. Welcome to your mind. When an opposing character within range and line of fire makes a range attack, roll 2d6. If the result is greater than the finalized attack roll, that attack misses all targets. There's also some synergy. I mean, he's like a scientist. You could be using him with the Iron Man from Smash and Destroy. There's a little scientist team right there. Iron Man, Hulk, and Professor X. And then he could do that once per game, roll a d6 and heal all friendly characters with the X-Men keyword, a number of clicks equal to half the result, which is, again, pretty good. The super rare Cyclops, I think he's good, and, I don't know if I'd play him in Modern, but in Sealed, man, there was a couple times where he blasted me in the face. Maybe I kind of walked into it, but where he could do like 6 or 7 damage. He brings everybody to him. He is good. 37. And that is Cable. I do like this Cable. I think, I'm actually going to give him and his Prime the X Factor. I think it's really cool to see him in here. It's kind of a character, in my opinion, that doesn't get any love. But I think he's really good. I like this one. It's pretty decent, but his Prime obviously is a lot better. One that everybody's kind of looking at and talking about. Really good. Just everything he has. He has a invincible throughout as a dial, penetrating psychic blast, and all his traits and powers are all just good. When Cable attacks, opposing characters can't use Mastermind, Shape Change, or Super Senses. Just goes through all that. His biggest downfall, though, is he could be outwitted. That's how I would try to go against somebody using him. I'd try to outwit either his power or his defense and blast him in the face. So he is good. 38 is Marvel Girl. She's good. I like all the stuff she has. She's pretty good. 39. Oh man, I'm gonna missay her name. This is actually just Jubilee from Motendo World. She's like a program. She's good. There's no doubt about that. Anything from the sideline like this, I think, is really cool. She basically stops one of, is it your X-Men being KO'd? Yeah, with the X-Men keyword is KO'd. She kind of stops them from dying, so that's definitely a good thing. I am going to be giving her an X Factor. I think that's really cool. You got that extra life token. Moving on to 40. Almost there. I don't like this Storm, She has a long dial, but I just don't, she's just not doing it for me. I like that she halves range for your opponents and she does stuff outside, but Other than that, not necessarily a figure I'm going to be reaching for or playing with. So 41 is Rogue. I like this super rare Rogue. I think she's actually pretty good. She's a team player. She's Brotherhood. She's X-Men. I'm not even going to read all her powers and abilities, but I think she's pretty decent. I could maybe see trying to play her in a team with like Juggernaut, Magneto, because Magneto can telekinesis for free a Brotherhood character, so you could just like throw her at somebody and punch them in the face. But the same could be said about her Prime here. Her Prime is just awesome. This one is definitely deserves an X Factor, I think. This is a really cool moment from the show that's kind of encapsulated here in this figure. She takes Captain America's shield away from him and throws it, and that's what it's showing here. Everything she has is good. When Rogue hits an equipped character, you may immediately unequip their own equipment and equip it to her. It's really good. Very interesting piece. I definitely would love to build around her. And then she has skip the hogwash. Opposing characters can't choose or target Rogue except for attacks. So she can't be targeted by Outwit or Perplex or Prob or anything. So very cool. Pretty decent Prime, honestly. She is 7 clicks for 100 points, but still pretty good. And she has Invincible. She may make a closer train action as free. She has super strength. She has this honey, this ain't that sort of probe. Outwit, when Rogue uses it to target adjacent characters, she can use the chosen power until she chooses again, even if this power is lost. So again, that's just really good. Definitely deserving that X Factor. Emma Frost is number 42. I like this Emma Frost. I think she's cool. I've argued with some people on how you want to use the Prime. I was kind of saying you would want to use the Prime and the Super Rare, but some people are saying just use the Prime. I do like her, though. I think all the stuff she has is pretty cool. But I think competitively, most people are going to want to probably play the Prime. This one I will be given the X Factor as well. Just a really great figure. The ability to have the 3 diamond tokens. She can be really hard to kill. She has a defend, invincible. When people get when your characters get targeted with Outwit or Perplex, you give her more diamond tokens. Just a kind of cool little thing from the show. She gets like a building falls on her, and that's when they discover she has that diamond skin power. So pretty dang cool figure. And we're moving on to 43. I like this Magneto. I think he's really cool. I would definitely try him out in some different formats. Maybe silver or something. My biggest concern is I don't want to see him get taken out because somebody runs up to him and outwits him. That's something I would do to you. If you used him, I would come up to you and try to outwit your defense, get you down to your first stop click, and then from there just kind of go to town. But, he does have a bunch of stuff supporting him. Depending on what your opponent's team is. I'd try him out and play with him a little bit, but he's not like a be-all, end-all Magneto for me. The one from the Iconics is still really damn good, especially in silver. Nightcrawler, I had faced him and I actually knocked him out pretty easy, but you really want to get off all those attacks. There's no doubt that he's good, and it's awesome to see Nightcrawler. I'm actually a Nightcrawler fan, although I might not always say it and talk about it. Character I've always really liked, and I'm sure a lot of people are happy to see him back in the game. He's going to get the X Factor. I think he's really cool. Again, this is another really cool moment from the show where him and Wolverine team up, and they take on a bunch of Sentinels, and they do a fight together. Really epic. I did a little short on my channel about that. So Cyclops, let's see. So Cyclops, I think he's one of my least favorite chases, even though this one's kind of cool. This is another moment from the show where he jumps out of the X-Jet and he blasts the ground to land, and that's what's that's actually showing here. Moving on. is Jubilee. I've actually been thinking about this one recently, is just trying to use her for a modern support piece. I like that she can kind of pack a punch, and she has prob. She has that pulse wave that is a line of fire, and it's her print to damage value. That's pretty nice. That's again another moment from the show. She's actually attacking Bastion, and he says that, I think, is, "What are you gonna do? Slay me with the 4th of July?" So pretty cool little figure. And she's got a stop click, of course. But we're moving on to 47. I'm sure some people are happy to see Madeline Pryor in here like this. She's actually had some really cool comic books. It's cool to see her in this set. You know, there's a time where she had became the Queen of Limbo. This figure is actually just really good. Actually, a really good figure. Getting those pop out those the bystanders, and they all have probability control and stuff. It's kind of nutty. She's good, no doubt about it. I'm actually going to give her an X Factor. 48, Mr. Sinister. Again, this is a really good figure. I think all the Mr. Sinisters they make are pretty dang decent. He is as well. You get that clone. He has this I know your genes gene, outwit, perplex, probability control. When Mr. Sinister uses them, he may choose that he has a range of 8 and lines of fire. He draws can't be blocked. If he does, he may only target characters that share a name with another character on the map. So that bystander clone. So that's really cool. Really cool figure. Another really cool moment from the show. There's this point where he's that's baby Cable, if you didn't know, and he's kind of like baptizing him in this like pool of green stuff that's supposed to like give him other powers. Trying to move it on. I wanted to keep it a little shorter, but almost done. So 49 is Bastion. There's no doubt about it. I think he's good. He could just move up to somebody and just destroy the wall or destroy their equipment. He has that pulse wave. He has 3 stop clicks. He heals himself. Definitely a pretty good asset for Sentinel. He is kind of expensive point-wise, but if you play him at 175, there might be some room to throw in a different Sentinel stuff with him, like Cable or Mr. Sinister. That was 49. And I'm going to give him the X Factor. I think he is a really cool figure. This is probably the coolest Bastion that we have. So 49. The release day Beast is actually really good. I like that trait. You can generate equipment from the KO area and equip it to Beast or an adjacent friendly character. That's actually really cool. Then he has this other moment from the show where he slaps a Sentinel with a Sentinel's hand. Very cool. For 50 points, yeah, I like him. I'll definitely try him out and have some fun with him. Moving on to Rogue and Gambit from the Play at Home kit. I'm not partial to them. I think really why you would want to buy the Play at Home kit is for the map, which I'll talk about here in a second, and the terrain. Those are all pretty good in there. But this Rogue and Gambit aren't necessarily my favorite. Moving on to the maps. Oh, I love maps. It's kind of I actually like all these maps. Motendo's cool. It's a kind of like a Mirage from Genosha. I do like that one. Asteroid X is really cool. There's like that Sentinel head in the middle that's like powering up the asteroid. The baseball court, the X Mansion. I think that might be one of the better. This X Mansion is could be good for something like Nightcrawler, because he can dash around through the walls and hit people. Might be able to utilize him pretty well there. So I think I'm going to be giving X Mansion. I'm going to go ahead and give it a X Factor as far as the maps. I'd like to give them all one, but and then moving on, We are at the one-shot cards. We have Magneto Was Right. Not that good in my opinion. Not that many Brotherhood characters, but there are some now. There's more now, obviously. Omega level threat detected. I think this one, it's in the set or the release date kit. It's actually pretty good. That's a good one to have. Number 3 here. Practice teamwork. That's definitely, that's something that most people might want to have in their collection. Friendly characters have power. Make an attack using this character's printed combat values. Then they may be given this power action even after being carried. So that's really good. And that one's actually going to get the X Factor here. That's a really nice one to have. Interesting. And lastly, the 4th one-shot card is Sinister Science. This one's actually good. It could be really useful.
As for an overall rating of the set, now I did this on a sliding scale, so the set kind of starts at a 5 and it goes 1 through 10. So I actually ended up giving it an 8. So let's talk about a couple of the negatives I gave it. So first up, the alternate cards are kind of hard to get. They could end up being rather expensive. It would have been nice if you could have just got them in the set. And the second negative I have is the set felt a little bit small. They could have had some more, chases or super rares, but that's just me. As for some of the pros of the set, fantastic sculpts. It was really fun and sealed. It was really fun having that nostalgia again. Really great stuff from the source material. So that's 3 right there I have. And then, the defects were minimal, so I counted that as a pro. There wasn't a ton of them out there. And then impactful figures on the meta. There's some really great stuff in here for X-Men and every format it looks like. It was a really fun sealed. And I could see some of these figures really impacting the meta of modern. As for the X factors, so that again was, so I rated that an 8 out of 10. As for the X factors, I gave 17 characters an X factor. I gave 1 map and 1 one-shot card. So overall, I thought the set was really fun. Really enjoyed it, having some really great battles and sealed games. Make sure you check out some of my other X-Men 97 stuff I've been doing. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.